Hey guys, welcome to another video from the Parrot Bros. Now today we're going to be discussing where I've been and why I have not been working on this beautiful TT or any TT for that matter, but more about that straight after the intro. As you may or may not notice, I've been a little bit quiet recently. Now I've got a lot going on, and to be honest, I wanted to discuss with you something that I guess you've all experienced at some point, and if you haven't, it might be something you'll experience in the future, and that is just getting down about your project cars. Now, I don't know about you, but you find yourself always working on it, and you drive it less than you work on it sometimes, and you just not lose interest, but you hit a bit of a speed bump where your love for it is kind of lost because maybe you're not driving it enough, you're spending more time working on it than driving it, or it needs all these things doing, or you don't have time because of work, family commitments, and all that kind of stuff. And I wanted to just kind of address it and have a chat with you and discuss kind of the next steps with this, because I've kind of gone over the hill a little bit now and I'm back focused on getting this sorted. And I think the other problem for me is I have so many projects now. Of course, I've got this, the Glacier. I bought another TT just for bits because I needed a few bits, and it was easier to get a car and share it between me and my friend for the bits we needed than it was to actually just buy the parts. But it takes up time. I'm trying to rebuild a go-kart here. I bought a motorcycle. I've got flipping toys coming out my ears, but it is a massive, massive time consumption. We've also got a lot going on with the family. We're redecorating at home. You know what it's like. It's almost garden season, so you're going to have everyone round for barbecues, but your spare room looks awful, so you need to redecorate it. Do you know what I mean? And this car, I have had the longest, and because you know what it's like. You buy something new, whether it be a car, motorcycle, a train set, a kite, I don't know, whatever you lot buy. It's crazy, 3 o'clock in the morning on eBay. I've seen you. And this gets shelved for the newest edition. Now, this has always been relatively good. And it's always been there. Now, I will be honest with you, I lost the love for this not too long ago. I put the cage in thinking, yeah, cage, wicked, put the bucket seats in. I've driven it twice and I've absolutely hated it. Now, it's not because it's really noisy inside, it's not because it's really bumpy inside, it's not because it drives horrible on the roads but great on track. It's the fact that the bucket seat's in the wrong position. It's on base mounts rather than side mounts, which means it's flat, so you can't tilt it up, down. And I'm finding that it's too high at the front, so my legs are up high and it's in a weird position. And I didn't have a bracket on the floor for my feet, so your feet hover on the floor, and it's horrible. So it's more, I haven't had enough time to finish the setup. I've got no door cards, so wind and water comes in on the side. It's my own fault, of course, but it's loads of little jobs add up to loads of big jobs, because obviously I need to make door cards, and it's not just a case of getting some plastic like this. This is just some sort of Foamex card, which I will probably be using something similar to make door cards, but it's not just a case of just going, screwing that to the door, because it needs to be spaced out at the bottom, because I'll show you this, and this is not something I realised until afterwards. The door cards actually create a seal, I knew that, but I didn't realise that they make the door loose. So this door actually has about 10 mil of play, because what you need to do is space the door card out at the bottom. Because actually, when you're driving, you can see daylight through it, and it rattles, which is really annoying. But it's not just a case of just cutting a door card and fitting it, because you need to space it differently from top to bottom, which is going to take quite a bit of time. I also need to fit door pulls. I also need to make some sort of bracket or something to put all the switches in, because obviously I want to be able to use the mirrors. I want to be able to use the electric windows. Hopefully, I'm getting slim enough to fit out of this gap. Not quite yet, but we're definitely getting a lot closer. There's a lot less of me, which is helpful. And so that's like door cards. I need to make something to put all the brackets and the switches in from the headlight switch. That's just cable tied up out of the way. In the center, I've got the alarm sensor, the fuel cap, and the boot release sliding around. I've actually got, from Boost Fabrications, which I'll show you in a minute, a foot plate to actually raise it up so my feet actually sit in a really nice position for the pedals back to where it should be. Because if you can imagine, In the car, when it's from factory, it comes with that much carpet and insulation. It then comes with that much carpet. So it's about an inch thickness, which obviously once you take that out, then goes down lower. So then your feet, you've got little feet like me, can't reach the pedals. It becomes really annoying, believe me. And it's just trying to make it nice again. I need to fit some sort of, I need to make a plate or a bracket that looks really nice, maybe some carbon fiber, to put some sort of auxiliaries and switches, because I'm going to fit water meth. I want a 12-volt supply for like charging phones, GoPros, that kind of thing when on a track day. So I'm going to make some nice bracket to sit between the triangles in the center console, and I'll also try and incorporate the 3 buttons included in that. And I also need to make something to go up where the glove box was, because obviously when the cage was fitted, let me show you. So when the cage was fitted, they chopped out quite a substantial amount of the dashboard. So yeah, I don't actually have much in the way of access to that. So the kind of the bottom bit is missing. Let me try and show you this better. There we go, you might be able to see now. So there is basically nothing at the bottom of the dash. So what I'm going to want to do, and I plan to do, let me go around the other side, is basically I need to make something that goes here. It doesn't have to follow the shape of the glove box. I could trim the glove box, but the problem is there's a roll cage there, so it's not going to fit back in. I don't want to cut part of it because it won't bolt in, and this bit's in the way. I just want maybe a nice panel which I can just bend round to get out the way. I need to make some sort of bracket which sits maybe like that. It's not going to get in the way, but it will be able to house my switches there. And then just to neaten it up a bit, there's not really too much I need. I've got most of the things still retained in there. I kept the center console with the air climate control. I've got my stereo still, which again is an issue I need to address because I've only got 2 rear speakers which only do bass, which, if you can imagine, is an absolute nightmare because it sounds terrible because there's only bass. There's not actually any treble, so it sounds awful. So what I'm probably going to try and do, I haven't really decided, maybe put a couple of speakers in the back and then rerun some cables to it. I'm probably going to put a Bluetooth head unit in, so then I've got some sort of music playback, because I can basically ditch the Bose system because there's only 2 rear speakers left, so I can easily just run a couple of wires to a couple of speakers. Dead simple, nice easy setup. Because this is going to be a tour, I want to be able to drive it to and from track days. I want to take it around the North Coast 500, do some Wales trips, and of course come to some car meets. Now, moving on to seats. These seats are quite comfortable. The only issue I have with him is they need a bit more padding, and yet that is still the case even though I've lost a bit of weight. They need some more padding, and they need to come up at the back. So instead of being base mounted, where they're just literally mounted flat onto the seat of the car, which actually tips them back slightly. Let's see if I can show you the pitch of this. So I don't know how well you can see there, but if you look, the seat actually does tip backwards. If you see there, the seat, it's really hard to see. The seat actually sort of tips backwards, so it doesn't sit flat, which is fine, but if you've got little legs like me, you end up finding that the back of your legs are touching here, which is really annoying because then it sort of lifts your legs off of the seat and then it's just a really awkward driving position. I think you can see there that it's slightly tipped back because it's basically following the runners of the car. Whereas if you put on the side mounts, which is here, and there's another one there, you'll be able to then sort of tip the back of the seat up to the desired position. I'll also actually be able to sit the seats a little bit lower because, let's see if I can show you this. There's a big spacer here, which I can get rid of, and this thickness here. So I'll literally just get a plate that mounts straight to the car, and then I can put the side mount straight on. So I'll probably be able to bring this down at the front and tip the back up, which will make me lower and give me a slightly better seating position. So once I've addressed the seating position and maybe put a little bit more foam in the bottom just to give me that little bit more comfort, because the problem is where it's tipped back, you're sort of sitting on the back of your buttocks and it's really, really uncomfortable. Whereas at least if you're flat, you'll sit the whole of your weight across your leg rather than just at the back bit, which makes it really, really uncomfortable. And also for track days, if your feet, the back of your legs are touching here, it's going to make changing gear a lot harder because you're fouling on the seat every time you're trying to change gear. Really annoying. So basically what I'm trying to get at is I need to make this car a little bit more user-friendly for me, which is great because it means more time in the unit. I've got rid of loads of other projects now, so I can focus on this one. The Glacier has just been MOT'd, brake pipe's done. I should have showed you that, but I was getting it ready for the ring and I ran out of time. And I can focus on this a bit more because also the seat is just about to touch the cage, which I didn't really like. But if I can drop it a couple of inches, it's going to be miles away. I may even get a slightly smaller seat because this is quite a big seat because I was quite a big boy back then. I've lost nearly 3 stone now, so quite a substantial difference. And I may still keep the passenger on because it allows anyone that I get to come in it. Harnesses I'm fine with, the seating I'm fine with, it's just the angle is not very nice. This floor plate, let me just, yeah, you might be able to see it. So that's the floor plate there. That gives you a raised up feet position so that you don't actually sort of kick the floor, and you've got a nice grip tape there as well. That's from Boost Fabrications. And you can see here what I mean about the door card. Now I want to retain the mirror switch. I want to be able to retain this switch. Now you'll see obviously the door card's going to come down, but it's going to have to go over that. Let me get this piece of Foamex to show you. So it's going to sit like that, but it's also going to have to, I'll have to take all of these cables off and try and make them a bit more slim because I've got some space here to lose it. But the door card is going to have to sort of sit like that, but it's also going to have to be sort of space off the bottom as well. And of course there's little kicks here, so it's all about trying to get it perfectly flat and level. It's going to be quite a big job. Getting the shape's relatively easy, nice big bit of cardboard, mark it really wide, and then if you have to trim it in afterwards, it doesn't really matter. Better than cutting it too small, wasting a bit and then having to start again. Start big, work your way in. And then it's just a case of shutting the door and then working out how much space you've got. Because if you can see here, this is where it puckers up against this rubber, which is all the way around the door. And that is what it's got to try and seal against. Now, the gap there is probably, well, here is like 20, 25 mil, like an inch on this bit here. So it's going to have to sit quite proud to be able to meet that, but we shall see. I'll do a whole different video on that when we're having a go. I'll probably buy a few bits just so we can have a few goes and some nylon spacers and some nice bolts and stuff, because there's plenty of holes to use. I can also drill and riv nut and get a nice fixing into this aluminium here, lovely jubbly. There's also some things you can push in which are made out of rubber. You can put into these holes and then pop a screw in, and as it pulls it splays it so it won't fall out. So you get a nice fixing, no rattling, because believe me, there's so many things that can just rattle on this door, and it is just, I have headphones for driving this thing at the moment because it is just horrible. But I don't mind that. This is what this car made for. Exterior wise, wow. Now let me get back to giving you a whole sight. So exterior wise, really happy, not really going to change anything. I like the wheels. I've got the suspension set up so it's a really nice height now. Carbon spoiler, looks mega. The car needs paintwork. I'm not worried about that. I'm going to be enjoying it, getting it to shows as much as I can. Vorsprung International in July. Come see it. I'll try to get to other ones. We're going to do some breakfast meets as well. I want to try and put a couple thousand miles on this year, so plenty of driving. And just enjoy it, because I feel like that's the problem. The more you spend working on it, the less you spend driving it. You then run into problems. Let's say you go to fit something breaks or something's not working, then you have to add another 2 things onto your list when you're trying to knock one off. And if you don't drive the car, you don't enjoy it, and then you sort of feel like all you ever do is fix it rather than being out enjoying it, which is what I've done. I've probably spent, let's say, 20 days over a year working on it, and I've probably only driven it 10 times. So it's my own fault. I need to drive it more, work on it less, and now it's at that point where it should be a lot more enjoyable. I just need to do the little things, which I'm fine with, like changing the seat around, lovely little job. I also need to put resistors in every single airbag slot, because obviously I've got no airbags left in the car, but I still have the light on the dash, which is an MOT issue. So I need to put resistors in it so that when you turn the key on, airbag light comes on, then goes off again because it says the system is okay. MOT pass, lovely. Although it doesn't have any airbags, but it's better to do it and then it works that way. And at least then the car is as it should be. Everything else works and everything is great. It is just solely getting it perfect for me. And plus I don't want to turn up to shows, no door cards, out for a drive, it's rattling. I've got to try and hold the window switch to use it. Same as not having a cigarette lighter to charge my phone or charge my GoPro when I'm on a track day or whatever. Not that I need directions off my phone when on a track day, but you know what I mean. But exterior looks, I mean, this carbon spoiler, amazing. The external's fine apart from needing a paint, but that's a problem for next winter. We'll worry about that. But I just wanted to kind of share with you guys where I am. I know I've been a bit quiet, but you know what it's like. It happens, but don't lose faith. If any time any of you guys want to chat to me, maybe you're thinking about having enough and you sort of want to call it a day and you want to have a chat with someone first, drop me a message. All my contact details are down in the description. I've also got a WhatsApp, so if you want to WhatsApp us, it goes on to silent at 3 o'clock in the morning, so feel free to WhatsApp anytime. Facebook, Instagram, email. You can't find me, there's plenty of ways to do it. But I'm here to chat. At the end of the day, I know what it's like. I can always point you in the right direction if you need help from someone. I know a few reasonably good TT mechanics out there still, believe it or not. But anything to keep you going, keep these going and enjoying it. I hope you found that interesting, a bit of an update about me and the car. I know it's been a long time coming, but hopefully we'll get a weekly video. We're at the Nürburgring this time next week. So maybe not video that Sunday, but there'll be plenty of content when we come back. Loads of us going, loads of TTs. So I'm sure there will be plenty to film. And of course, if we can get loads of us out on the track at the same time, epic. But that's enough for me today, guys. Thank you for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye for now.